Yeah, again, more people are joining in. We actually have more than 150 people registered for this event. We are very excited that you can join us. This is part of our foundational workshop series. It's fundamental, it's foundational. It should be relevant to every PhD and postdoc. We actually offered this series last academic year in person. We had a lot of people joining us and provided great feedback. They find it very helpful. In order to serve more people, we try to offer this year again, but in a different format. This time we are going to launch it in a virtual format. So the first Tuesday of every month is just going to be 1 hour at noon on a Tuesday. So feel free to book your calendar to join us. And also, we're going to send the updated information through our newsletters, which were sent directly to you every Monday at around 11 o'clock. It's called PhD and Postdoc newsletter. So please make sure you read those because that is going to have the most updated information and most comprehensive resource from our team. And it's not from stranger, it's really from us, from myself. I am the Associate Director at the Center for Career Engagement. Today, we also have Kyle, our Assistant Director, and probably Craig, another assistant director, to be with us. So we're going to kick off today's session very soon. And again, for those who just joined us, I encourage you to use your phone to scan this QR code on the left side to check in our workshop so that we know who are here. And we'll make sure to follow up with you to share the slide deck with you. We have very compacted information, a lot of information that we want to make sure you are able to receive the slide deck. And also for those who just joined us, if you could just let us know whether you are a PhD or postdoc and which year you are in your WSU training, please put it in the chat box so that we know a little bit more about your background. Okay, I think we'll get started. Again, nice to meet everybody here. I cannot see all of your face, but really excited to kick off our foundation workshop series in the academic year 26-27. This is our first session. As I said before, we offered this session last academic year. It was very well received. We want to launch it again to help more students and postdocs. And this time we're going to do it in a virtual format, only 1 hour, the first Tuesday of every month. We hope you can join us. So for the foundation workshop series, just very briefly to mention some of the topic, we designed it in a way that it should be applicable to all of the PhD and postdoc, regardless of your study field, your career goals, and also stage of training. So our first session is about positioning for success, targeted search strategies for PhD and postdoc. So really targeted search strategy, which is something that we haven't talked too much before, but is very fundamental. It's very important for our PhD and postdoc. And then we'll have other sessions to help you to understand what is out there academically and also non-academically, which I'm going to talk more later in my talk. And then our second session is really to help you to envision possibilities and to identify your own career goal. Is there any question?
Yeah, if you could scroll to office.
What? Can you hear me? Okay, I'm going to leave Kyle to help that student. Feel free to put your question in the chat box. We will try our best to support you. But for the sake of the presentation, I'm just going to continue. I was going to say our second session is really to help you identify your own career options, like find your own target. And then our third talk is about once you have your goal, how to develop plans to help you to pursue your goal more effectively. And then you have a lot of things to do. You have your research and also your career and professional development. You are going to have a lot of things on your plate. How to maximize productivity, time and project management for PhD and postdoc. That is going to be our fourth session. And then we are going to talk about networking strategies and how to fully leverage LinkedIn for PhD and postdoc, your application essentials, how to write a tailored resume or CV or cover letter for the job you want to apply, and also ace the interview strategies and negotiation, decision making, and also professionalism, emotional intelligence, people skills in the workplace. Those are all very important topics for our PhD and postdoc. Last but not least is our leadership, which is also a very important competency that employers value. So we are going to cover all those sessions for you. So I encourage you to join us for the rest of the year to learn all of those important topics. For today's workshop on targeted job search strategy, this is going to be our agenda. We are going to talk about why we need using our targeted search strategy approach. And then we are going to do an overview of the three career pathways. Since many of our PhDs will do a postdoc, so we are going to put postdoc kind of as a separate thing here. And faculties kind of represent our academic pathways. Again, later you will see we have more in-depth session later on to talk about the academic pathways. And then the third one is industry. Again, we have another separate workshop to talk about the non-academic pathways. But here I just want to lump them together to treat that as a separate pathway. And we're going to learn what are the employer expectations for those three pathways, what are the application platforms and materials and timelines. And last but not least is how we can position ourselves strategically. This should be relevant to our first year student, but also to those who are in the job market right now. So I'm going to talk about that. And in the end, hopefully we can leave some time for Q&A and also collect your feedback. So we'll get started. And again, I shared this learning objective with you in the meeting invite and also in our handshake event. So you should be very familiar with that. And this is what I want to share with you is begin with the end in mind. We want you to learn those. That's how we designed our workshop, to learn the different pathways, to learn the expectation, to learn the job specifics, and also strategies to position. So with that, we'll come to our first session, why we need to use targeted search strategies. This is, again, a very important mindset we hope you to establish, not only for your career and professional development, but you can also use it in your own thesis work, in your own research. Is begin with the end in mind and be goal-driven in this process. And the reason we want to develop this session, actually, in the fact, in the last foundation workshop series, we didn't have this session. So this is our first time to do it. But we feel like this is so important to you because we have experienced some of those phenomena. And by coaching a lot of students, we also observed a lot of our PhD and postdoc have this type of phenomenon. And I'm going to just share you two. One phenomenon is the vague dream. Some of you may be interested in something, and that's how you get drawn to your PhD program. For myself, when I was a PhD student, I was in the plant and microbial science program in DBBS. So at that time, I was just thinking, okay, I want to help farmers. I want to become a plant scientist. And that's a big dream. I don't know what type of plant scientist I want to be, and what type of day-to-day work I will be doing, and what type of organization might be suitable for me, and what type of companies even hire a person like me. I have no idea what those about. So the same question I want to ask you, is your dream also very weak, or you have a very clear career goal? The second phenomenon is what we call the application black hole. A lot of students tell us, I applied to more than 60 jobs or even more than 200 jobs, and I didn't hear much from it. Does this happen to you or your peers? We heard a lot of things. And many times we see, okay, this job is slightly related to what I want to do, then I apply. And we use the same resume or same CV to apply for many jobs. So not targeted at all. And then the result is you do not hear anything from, or you hear very little from the employers. You get frustrated and you kind of wasted a lot of time and effort. And you also gradually you lose your confidence. So those two phenomena are very typical among our PhD and postdoc. That's why we really wanted to recommend to you using the target search strategies. And again, when this happened, it's not your fault. But today you hear this opportunity, you hear this type of mindset. So we hope you can start to apply it in yourself to prepare for your career. And when this happens, it's because our PhD and postdoc, and really, we are very good at our research. We stay in our office for our dissertation. We stay in our lab for our research. But we think maybe career and professional development is kind of a secondary thing. We do not not necessarily be familiar with those career literacy. But I want you to really know that type of mindset is not right. Career development is part of your education, is part of your training. Even though strategically you may spend less time on it, strategically it's equally important. We often tell our students maybe spend 80 to 90% on your research, on your courses, but then spend about 10 to 20% on your career and professional development and build those career literacy so that you have more clarity in what you want to pursue. Second is the landscape outside of your office or outside of your lab is genuinely unclear to you. And this is very normal. We do not know the things we're not exposed to, right? We haven't get exposed to, and we do not know what we don't know. That's why from the PhD and postdoc team, we build some workshops so that we can teach you what is out there so that you can do more research, so that you can bring more clarity on your career goals. And also, online applications barely help you to stand out. If you do not position yourself well, you will have very rare chance. The reason is because the market is very competitive. There are a lot of more people who know how to position themselves. They tailor their experience to the job, so they are more likely to stand out. And also because they know how to position themselves, they already stepped out and reached out to potential employers and hiring managers, and they are more likely to get the interview and get the offer. Because we know, especially for PhD and postdocs, many jobs are filled even before they get posted. So those are some of the things we want you to be mind of right now so that you can start to take some actions and make a difference for yourself. So this target search workshop, we want to really help you to shift this mindset. Okay, we don't need to worry about our future, and maybe later we'll just try a bunch of different things and hopefully something will work out. We want you to shift from this mindset to knowing your targeted job or roles and then prepare deliberately, intentionally for it. So this can help you to switch from a wish-based, reactive, exhausting type of approach to more targeted, proactive, and effective type of approach. And that doesn't mean by using a targeted job search strategy, that doesn't mean, okay, you will be excluded from many other job opportunities. Because when you target one role, it can make you be competitive for many other roles. For example, if you target one role and you prepare intentionally for it. You read the job descriptions, you learn about the vocabulary, and you learn the skill gaps, and also talk to people who are doing that job. You will be very prepared for that role, but you will also be very prepared for other similar roles or roles in similar organizations. So it will open many opportunities for you. That's why we recommend these target job search strategies. And we understand this is not an easy process. Many of us, when we start with, we don't know what is our targeted role. But purposefulness really brings about effectiveness. And that's why we designed a few workshops to help you understand what is out there and how can you find your own target. I'm going to talk more later on. So that comes to our next session is really understand the overall, the three major career pathways or career directions. Since many of you are interested in pursuing a postdoc after your PhD, or maybe pursue another postdoc after your postdoc. So we kind of listed this as kind of a separate section. And then faculty to represent academic pathways, industry to represent the long academic pathways. And we'll spend the next few slides to understand the employer expectation, the search specifics. So first, for postdoc fellowships, what the PI or employers or fellowship programs look for. First, you will have strong publication record or productivity. Hopefully you can demonstrate you have some peer review articles, maybe two or three. If you don't have any peer reviewed articles, maybe you have a lot of data or progress that you can show. Second, your tactical expertise. When you do a postdoc, you want to show that you maybe bring some additional competencies or expertise that the current lab do not have or current team do not have. You can complement or extend the team's capabilities. Also, research fit. Right? You want to make sure your research interest aligns with the team's research interest, but also distinct enough so that you can establish, maybe hopefully in future, establish your own research programs. Scientific independence. You are still a trainee, but you should demonstrate some level of independence to drive your own research. And also, you are a good team member. And that's why, talking to people is important, especially at conference or networking sessions. That's why when you get invited for a postdoc position, you are going to meet the team and maybe have lunch together. But they want to make sure you are a good team members, a good collaborators. Also, funding potential. If you can already bring on some fellowship, that is a win. But even if not, if you can express your interest, this is some type of fellowship or grant I'm going to apply, that would be helpful. So with that, the type of application materials for postdoc would include usually a CV and also a cover letter. Sometimes you can put the cover letter just in an email, so it's an email inquiry. But you should send it in a way that is very purposeful, very targeted. You should do some research before you send out this inquiry. You want to indicate why you are interested in this team and what are some of the unique things you can bring into the team, and so on and so forth. And also research statement. It doesn't have to be comprehensive as the research statement you're going to write for faculty job application, but at least outline some of the directions you are going to pursue. Make sure it aligns with the team and again, it's going to complement with the team. And some publications and reference letter. Very occasionally, you may need some additional documents such as fellowship proposal, or if that position involves a lot of mentoring or teaching, you may need something else, but those are very rare. In terms of the job search platforms, again, in this link, we have a complete list of the different job search platforms that we compiled for you. But specifically for postdoc job, here we recommend you go to the different university, their career website. And also nowadays, many academic jobs are also posted in LinkedIn and also Handshake. So set job alert over there. And of course, some of the job boards, such as, the different research fields, science careers, and others. For humanity, you will have your own professional society as well. You can also learn job opportunities from conference or by networking with people through that way. And the strategic tips here we really want to recommend is reach out before positions are opened. Again, this is target search strategies. If you know what you want to pursue, if you can already identify the labs or teams you want to join, you can reach out. Yeah, show that interest. And of course, you want to reach out in a purposeful way, in an intentional way. You want to really visit the team's website, read relevant papers before you reach out. And you want to also prioritize the fit whether it is a good fit mutually over prestigious. It's not necessarily the better school you go to, the better postdoc it will be, right? It's really about how it can serve you for your longer term career development. And also develop a clear future research narrative. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve in your postdoc? And make sure it is appealing to the hiring manager. And in general, we recommend you start your preparation for postdoc application at least like 6 to 12 months ahead. The earlier you start, the more leverage you have. That being said, sometimes, you can also get postdoc job opportunity within short notice, within maybe 3 months. But overall, we recommend to give yourself at least 6 months to prepare, to do the reach out. And for faculty job, what the employer looks for could be even more, more stringent, could be slightly different. Let me tell you here. One thing they are really looking for is that they wish you have independent research vision. It's not just to say, okay, what I plan to do in future. It's a clear and compelling 5 year, at least 5 year, or maybe sometimes 10 year research program and research plan for your team. That is distinct from your PI, so that you can have your own focus and also funding potential. So for faculty positions, they pay a lot of attention to your funding potential. If you can bring your own on funding, that's great. If not, in your research statement or in your cover letter, you should clearly indicate what type of grant you plan to apply to. And that usually is like a big win. Many of a PhD and postdoc may not pay attention to this, but this is one of the differentiators for the hiring committees. Also, your publication trajectory, right? You should have a few first author or last author papers, and also it's in the rising trend, right? You may have more paper that is under revision or that is under preparation. Department fit. You should also have thought about which university or which department is a better fit for your research areas, where you can have more collaborations, where you can make a bigger difference, where you can add more value. You should have thought about those questions so that your search can be more targeted. And again, your application can be more competitive. Teaching and mentoring documents or experience. For many faculty job you apply to, unless it's 100% research faculty, a lot of other faculty have some level of teaching. So having this type of experience is important. And I want to mention this to you so that if you are preparing for this career pathway, you need to accumulate relevant experience and also the leadership potential, right? Whether you are able to lead your research program, whether you are able to collaborate with others, initiate some of those collaborations, and do some of the outreach work, service work. All those are very important, and they value this type of competencies. So you can see what people look for postdoc versus PI are different. And for faculty positions, for postdoc, usually, is really come out throughout the year, but for faculty positions, usually there is a hiring cycle. Many of the positions opened in the late summer or early fall, and that's why because of this cycle, for some of those you who read our newsletter, you probably know we have launched an academic job search series in August. So again, read to our newsletter to find more information. And if you are interested in faculty job application, join us, especially for those who will be in the job market this year or next year. And then you prepare your application material and submit in the fall and have interview during the winter and the springtime. And then hopefully by the spring and summertime, you already know your outcome. So the type of materials need for faculty job application is, in addition to CV and a very comprehensive and strong research statement, you also need to provide job talks. Usually, depending on the field, it could be like 2 job talks. One presentation to talk about what you have done and another job talk to talk about what you plan to do. And also a strong cover letter to indicate why you are a good candidate for this role, what you can bring to this job. Teaching philosophy, diversity, or service statements, reference letter. Again, all of those application material we are going to cover in our academic job search series. Where to search is very similar to postdoc, but here I just want to emphasize again, using a targeted approach. Know what type of role or what type of department or university you want to target, and then do intentional preparation for that. And some of the tips I want to share here is postdoc, we recommend you start at least 6 months ahead. For faculty job, I want you to start maybe at least 1 or 2 years ahead of time. Given the timeline we're talking about here, we highly recommend you to start to prepare earlier. And also, if you are sure that you want to pursue faculty pathway, then you need to pay attention to gradually build your scientific visibility in conferences or in your professional society by giving talks, by networking, by serving in some of the committee, for example, conference organizing committee. So people start to know you, know your interest. This will bring a lot of advantage in your job application process. And also get more clarity on your independent research, right? How you establish your own program that is different from your PI, and also articulate your vision in your lab meetings, in your department, in your professional society, and develop funding awareness. Try to apply some fund as early as possible, or at least know where you can apply fund to support your research program in future. So with that, I want to quickly pause, and for those who are with us here, I didn't show any of the things what employers, what industry really look for. I want you to quickly put in the chat box, what do you think are some of the top things industry employers are looking for? Feel free to, participate here. Just type some keywords. I saw problem-solving skills, technical skills, programming skills, autonomy, teamwork, ability to communicate, leadership, team player, leadership, like industry experience, previous working experience, fast learner, impact, focus on impact, management, leadership, translate knowledge into practice, communication skills, private connections, networking, project management skills, well-fit professional skills. All excellent. Thank you for your participation. I think you all together, you build a comprehensive picture here. Here, I'm going to share with you some of the top skills employers are looking for in industry. And as you can see, is quite different at some level, from what postdoc or faculty job employers are looking for. So we need to be mindfulness, be aware of this so that we can prepare intentionally. Some of the top competencies industry employers looking for: first, problem solving. They want you to be able to resolve problems, complex problems, ambiguous problems. And because this is what they are hiring for, so when you articulate your skills, you really need to pay attention. What are some of the questions you are solving? What are some of the innovation you have been using? What type of impact you have been generating in a very clear, concise, and compelling way? Second, team collaborations. We know that industry, they are really specialized. You may be only in charge of a small kind of component in a big pipeline or big team. So team collaboration becomes very important. You need to demonstrate you are able to work across functions, departments, and disciplines. It's unlike some of our PhDs to say, okay, I do one experiment, you do one experiment, and then we put out results together and we have a co-author paper. This type of collaboration, yes, this is one type of collaborations, but they may demand more close collaborations through a lot of communications, doing things together, providing feedback, offer insights, solve conflicts, things like that. That's how you demonstrate and grow in your leadership, in your team collaboration skills. Communication, many of you also thought about that. Oral communications, written communications, how to communicate in a very clear, concise, and compelling way. Not only your technical communication, but also outside of your research, some other type of communication, not only to communicate to the people in your field, but for those people who are outside of your field, which is very typical, right? So all kinds of communication skills that you need to demonstrate. Project ownership or leadership or take initiative. They want to see that you can initiate project and drive project forward, and you can really have accountability for something that you are in charge of. Adaptability, flexibility, right? You are able to quickly pivot and still be outcome driven, result driven, and can meet all of those priorities and timelines. Last but not least is the translational thinking, or we call business acumen, right? So you are doing your work or research not completely out of your curiosity. Are you able to link it to the translational side, to the business side? I think that is also a skill that employers highly value, especially for those people who has PhD and postdoc who have spent a lot of time in the academic setting. So with that in mind, what are some of the search platform here? For industry jobs, we highly recommend first use LinkedIn. It has become a very comprehensive search platform, and of course, Indeed and Glassdoor, and also company career websites. Sometimes if you apply for LinkedIn, it will route you directly to the company website. And that's again, we want to emphasize target job search strategy. If you already know what are some of the top employers in your field, then you can visit the company website and set job alert. And this can help you to know, to stay updated, what are some of the opportunities out there. And of course, some of the other more specialized platform. Last but not least, here we also recommend Handshake and also AI tools. Just because industry, there are so many different opportunities out there, and some of them may not even built into some of the major job search platforms. You may be able to actually use AI to help you to do the job search. And of course, it's dependent on how well you can leverage AI. And we will have another session in future to discuss how we can fully leverage AI for our career and professional development and for our job search process. I know some students are able to leverage AI for job search very well, but some other students have trouble. So this is again a skill that we can build intentionally to help ourselves. What are some of the application materials? So instead of a very long CV, here for industry jobs, we really recommend a very concise resume, just about 1 page or maximum 2 page if you have a lot of experience. Not the more the better. I can let you know that we have recently posted a student coordinator role in our team, and we received a lot of applications. Many of our PhD applicants, they submitted their CV, not a resume. So this is something that I hope you start to have mindset for industry internships or for part-time job opportunities. Please provide a resume instead of a CV. I know you get used to CV, but here from the industry employer perspective, what they need is just a very concise resume. Tailored cover letter. And again, there are a lot of specifics we can talk about, but the point is you really want to have customization. You really want to tailor your cover letter and speak to the hiring manager why you are the best candidate for this role. And here we also want to emphasize your social media platform, particularly your LinkedIn. Again, we have a separate workshop specifically talk about how you can establish your LinkedIn profile, networking referrals, and this becomes super important for industry roles. Research presentation, sometimes they will ask for it. And what are some of the strategic tips here? Again, tailoring. I cannot emphasize this enough. This is really an art and also a game. This is how you can stand out among the many applicants we have for this position. And also we need to pay attention to how to translate your research, your academic work into languages that industry people can understand. So focus on the business impact, focus on the big picture, why, things like that. And also for those who have not had a LinkedIn page set up, I highly recommend you to start now and continue to build it throughout your study and update it once every while. Your LinkedIn is basically your business card. From my own experience, I have visited many people's LinkedIn when I try to get to know more about that person. So make sure you have a good social media presence. Network is very important. There are a lot of statistics showing that if you do network, you have at least 12 times more possibility to get an interview compared to those who do not spend time networking. And for PhD and postdocs space, because many of those opportunities are high impact positions. They pay a lot of attention to the person they are going to hire. They are concerned, they fear they are going to fail in this role. So they pay a lot of attention to hire those people they already know a little bit, so they have more confidence they are going to make a right hire. So I just cannot emphasize enough the importance of network. And for myself, all of my 5 jobs after my PhD and postdoc, I get through some type of networking. I'm happy to share more later on. And again, we are also having separate workshop talking about networking strategies. And again, learn industry language. We are used to academic language, but what are some of the language they are using? What are some of the things they pay attention to? We need to learn more through doing research and through talking to people. So you can see here, just very briefly, we have compared the 3 pathways. We talked about postdoc, faculty, and industry. They have slightly different focus, research, training, independent program versus the business impact. They have different type of documents and also different hiring cycle. And also networking is important for all of them. It's not like that, okay, if I'm interested in postdoc or academic type of jobs, I don't need to do that much of networking. No, networking is important for any type of career pathways. It's especially so for industry type of jobs. And similarly, a hidden market influence is true for all of those different career pathways. And again, many opportunities, you got it through relationship, through your visibility, not other people know about you and your interest, what you want to achieve, and through strategic positioning. And you know what you want and you know what you have, and you make the connection between the two, not just purely passively online applications. I want everybody to start to have this kind of mindset using target job search strategies. So very briefly here, I will spend a lot more time in the next few slides to talk about how we can develop target job search strategies. But with the information I have provided, I'm going to answer some questions. And I encourage you, if by this point, if you have any questions, please feel free to put in the chat box here, and we'll be happy to address your question as well. While you put your questions in the chat box, I'm going to just answer some of the questions a lot of PhD and postdoc asked us. The first question is, do we have to do a postdoc? Again, a lot of people's mindset is, okay, after my PhD, I'm going to do a postdoc, and maybe later I can become a faculty, or maybe later I can transition to industry. And my answer here is, no, you don't have to do a postdoc. Postdoc is help you to transition. But if you have already paid attention to position yourself, and prepare yourself intentionally, then you don't have to do a postdoc, or at least you can do just a shorter postdoc. So it's all about positioning. It's all about intentional preparation so that you can shorten that transition. Second, academia and industry. Again, there are a lot of differences, and I know our PhD and postdoc, you are very good at research. So I encourage you to do more research in this area. And now we have AI, we have different search platforms. You can talk to people. You have many different ways to understand these differences. And there are many differences that I cannot have enough time to talk about. But I just want to bring out 3 points that, again, 3 misconceptions many PhD and postdoc have. The first one is a lot of our trainees say, okay, industry doesn't have innovation. And that is not true. I know in academia, we can do a lot of discovery work, but many companies, they also have their research and development team. They also invest heavily in their discovery and innovation. And also you play a role in this process. You can influence some of the decisions so that it aligns also with the business needs, because after all, there needs somebody to develop those research questions and projects, and you can make a difference in that process as well. You can have some say in that process. The second misconception is that industry doesn't offer work-life balance. And again, we may think a lot of technology companies, they work like over the weekend, things like that. But this is not true. This is not universal, right? A lot of other companies, they have great benefit. They offer great benefits to allow you to have work-life balance. Just like in academia, there is also a diversity, maybe untenured faculty, they do not have so good work-life balance, but staff members have more. Similarly, industry, there is a whole spectrum. So again, you need to have target job search strategy to see what type of roles you are interested in pursuing, even if it is just in industry. The third misconception is industry, we don't have that much teaching or mentoring opportunities. I love academia because I'm able to teach, especially students. Yes, true. In industry, you probably won't have that many opportunity to teach students, but you are able to teach or mentor interns, contractors, and even later, you have your own team. You can supervise your own team members. And also, you regularly give presentations to your colleagues, which are adults. And that is kind of teaching as well. Plus, if you really like teaching, you can also be a guest lecturer in some university in your city. So there are many ways you can achieve your goal. And again, I think we are all interested in different things. Academia, industry, you are welcome to freely explore. But I just want to clarify some of the misconception here. So the last part here, I'm going to talk about how to strategically position yourself. And this is super important, right? This is to really know what you want. Again, it's not an easy process, but the earlier you identify that, the more purposeful search you can do and know what you have. Many of you already have a lot of skills, or many of you are planning to gain more skills. Know what you have and then communicate the value. Be visible, tell your story so that you can make the alignment between the two. So here are some of the things I want to share about position yourself. I'm going to just give myself like my own example, right? I happen to be coming from the STEM field, but the same philosophy or framework can be applied to humanity and social science PhDs as well as STEM PhDs. So think from your own example. I'm going to share mine. When I first studied in my PhD, I just broadly know my value or my interest. That's why I joined the PhD in plant science program. I just want to know, I want to help farmers and I want to improve crops. And that's the first step we are talking about here. And I'm sure a lot of you already in your first step. That's how you get your PhD program started or you started to do your postdoc. I want to encourage you to move forward to the next few stages. The second stage is to really narrow down your career pathways. Academia, non-academia. If it is academia, maybe do a postdoc and later become faculty. And then you need to think about whether you want to do a teaching faculty, research faculty, or a combination of those, or in what type of institution, R1, R2. Again, we have another workshop focused on talking about the academic job search landscape and strategies. Non-academically, then you need to think about whether it is industry, government, non-profit, entrepreneur, different non-academic career pathways. So you need to figure this out. I know for many of our PhD and postdoc, it's easy to stuck in this process, and we're going to support you and help you to figure out. The third stage is really identify your targeted industry. For example, for myself, at that time, I know I'm probably interested in non-academia in industry. And even we say I want to work in industry, there could be many different sub industries we are talking about. Some of them could be like agriculture, food systems, biotech, health. There are some work related to food and farmer and nutrition, sustainability, manufacturing, production, consulting. There are many different sub-industries you can focus on. And again, each different industry require you to do things slightly differently, and they require different competencies. So knowing what type of industry you want to pursue can help you prepare more intentionally. That's the stage 3. Stage 4, even for example, I'm interested in ag tech in this industry. There could be different functionalities or departments within that industry. Are you interested in working in R&D, research and development, regulatory, production, commercial, policy, even HR? Many different functionality you need to position yourself. Are you interested in working a scientist researcher role or maybe non-scientist role? If you want to become a scientist, break down a little bit more, because many of our researchers, PhD and postdoc, we are trained in an interdisciplinary fashion. We know many different things. Are you interested to become a molecular biology scientist or imaging scientist or protein scientist or other things? So again, gaining more clarity in this process. Then stage 5, define the organization types. Are you interested in working with large companies or small startups? If large companies, what are some of the top employers in your field? So in my particular case would be Bayer, Corteva, Syngenta, or others. And if it is small startups, what are some of the companies out there? What is the landscape? You need to do some research so that you can stay informed. You can do target search strategies, and you can talk to the right people, make the right connections. So to figure those out, you need to intentionally ask yourself, what type of problems do I want to solve? What type of people I want to help? What type of environments do I thrive in? What type of skills do I want to use or do I want to learn to build? All those. Again, it's not an easy process, but the earlier you start to think about those questions, the better position you can put yourself in the job market. And here is another way to show this. Define your target, right? Stage 1, maybe it's just I want to be a scientist or I want to help farmer. Stage 2, more clarity. I want to work in industry in the long academic pathway. Stage 3, I want to work as a scientist in edtech. Stage 4, I want to work in research and development as a molecular biology scientist in edtech. And then stage 5, I want to work in large companies, and then you can identify the top 10 employers, and I can identify the jobs related to that, and I can read those job descriptions to see what type of vocabulary they are using, what type of competencies or skills they are looking for, and I can identify the skills gap, and I can work toward that goal, fill those gaps, intentionally gain additional competencies and skills during my training. And also, I can find the right people to talk to network with. So this is what we mean targeted search strategies. And again, your target may change. Maybe right now I target this one. And during the exploration stage, I realize maybe this is not the best route for me. I want to change to a different target. And again, you do this process iteratively. And it's the same process. And maybe in your career journey, a few years later, you may want to try something differently. Again, you are using this framework to help you to develop targeted search strategies. Your target can change, but you work on one target each time. And by building this competency for one target, it allows you to be competitive for many other opportunities as well. So I know this is not an easy process, as mentioned before. We have a few more workshops for you to learn more on this topic. Today is really an overview covering academic and non-academic. We have a workshop, an in-person workshop on August 6th, which we are going to dive in the academic job landscape. And this is part of the academic job search series. And on August 19th, we have another in-person session. We're going to dive in to talk about the non-academic job pathways. And this is part of our advanced workshop series. So dependent on your interest, you can join one of those workshops. And if you are open to both directions, you're welcome to join both sessions. And after that, we'll come back to our second session of our foundation workshop series, which is really using some assessment tools and other techniques to help you to identify your own options, your own targets. So those two workshops is to help you understand what is out there. And then this workshop is to see which one you are most suitable for or which target you want to pursue. So it's really complementary. And the second step about our target job search strategies is we can align our expertise to our target or intentionally build competencies to help us to pursue our target. Just a simple example here, again, we can talk a lot of stuff about this, is for many of our researchers, for example, they may say, okay, I study protein ligand interactions, which is very technical, we're very research oriented, but dependent on your goal, maybe you are applying to a job which requires your project management skills or collaboration skills and communication skills, then you will rephrase it to be something like lead an 18-month structural biology project to identify 3 to 5 drug candidates by coordinating collaborations, blah, 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 by managing milestones and by presenting findings, blah, blah. So this is just one example. Again, to each specific job, we need to use slightly different strategy to tailor your skills, to highlight your competencies. But you can see here, I made it very relevant. I made it very convincing by being quantitative, by highlighting the impact instead of just talking about the tasks. And we also developed some other sessions, how to develop a plan to pursue your goal. Again, focus on building additional competencies to pursue your goal. How to set up your LinkedIn, how to write your application material, how to do interview to further dive deeper on this topic. We also have 2 advanced workshop in-person sessions. One is specifically talk about how to do internship or mentored professional experience, and also how to identify your inherent strength, not your technical skills, but your overall strength by Clifton Strength. Again, we offered this session previously. It was very well received. So pay attention to our newsletter, and I welcome you to join in some of those sessions. And here, very briefly, we also want to talk about the difference between CV and resume. Again, this is tailor your application material to the job opportunities. For academic, usually use CV, and you are quite familiar with that, so I'm not going to talk it over more. But for resume, again, very concise. You need to tailor. You need to focus on your accomplishments, your impact, your skills instead of just the tasks. You want to make it very concise. Use strong action verbs. And remember, your audience may not be the expert in your field. It's recruiters, hiring managers, and they are only going to probably spend only 30 seconds on your resume. So how can you make sure your competencies stand out? This is an art. This is a game. We are happy to coach you more in a one-to-one coaching appointment. A lot of tailoring is needed for the job you apply to. The third step for target search strategies is about networking with the targeted audience. If you know what you want to pursue, then you don't have to do random networking. Random networking is very energy consuming, and you also are not going to benefit a lot from it. But knowing what you want, you can do target targeted networking is not about asking a job. I know many people, when we think about networking, we think about ask referrals. No, it's not about selling yourself. It's not a transactional event. It's about connecting with purpose. It's about because you are able to add value into that field, into that relationship. So you are very important in this process as well. It's about building relationships so that other people know you and can eventually refer you to some job opportunity in future. And again, for this, we have other workshops developed in this process: networking strategies, professionalism, emotional intelligence, leadership. And for our advanced workshop series, we also have how to become an effective mentor and mentee. And again, this is part of networking. And also how to do conference with purpose, how to get the most out of your conference. We have another workshop related to that. So join us. So we talked a lot of information. My almost last slide here is to talk about your next step. In the next 30 days before we meet again in our next foundation workshop series, I want you to focus on those 5 things. And again, I divided it into 2 sections. One is for some suggestions for those who are already in the job market. I encourage you to define your target. Don't just randomly apply. Identify some titles, specific titles you want to apply, and then also come to our workshops if you do not know which title you want to apply to, or come to our coaching appointment. Analyze the market, review the job openings, and see what are the common skills it requires, and then tailor your application materials to that. Leverage your network, again, tailoring your materials, and then submit. Don't submit too many. Submit those well-matched ones, those positions that you're really interested in. You feel like it is a good fit, and then spend more effort in it. Really make sure you tailor it, and so that you can stand out. And for those who are not in the job market, are still in your early years or in the middle years of your training, then you can do a little bit more exploration. Maybe you have something you are interested in, but you need to get exposure to other options and eventually identify your target. So come to our workshops, invest some time for you to explore your different career path. By the way, many professionals, they are still in this process in their 40s or in their middle stage of career. So I think it's a good exercise for us to do as early as possible, and then choose the directions, and then do targeted networking, identify skill gaps so that you can fill in those competencies, and then strengthen your materials as well. So I know there are many options, but there is only one you. You need to find out your target. This is an overview. We have 2 more sessions to help you to dive in so that hopefully eventually you can find your target so that you can use our targeted search strategies. I can share with you for my current role I am in, I only applied 2 positions I get in. So again, using very targeted job search strategies. So with that, I know we don't have too much time. I'm not sure whether there is any questions left here. We will make sure we save, if we didn't get a chance to answer here, we'll reply to you by email. So with that, I just want to quickly mention to you, in addition to all kinds of workshops, we do have one-to-one coaching appointment. So if you need customized support, I encourage you to book a coaching appointment with one of the team members in our team, as myself or Kyle or Craig, so we can discuss any topic that is relevant to you. And we have many opportunities. Last but not least, I hope some of you can really take some moment to fill in this survey. Again, it should be a very quick process. It's only going to be 4 questions. And this is our first session of our foundation workshop series, and it's our first time to try the virtual format. So I really appreciate you taking this time to fill out this survey so we can hear from you. We can learn from your feedback so that we can continuously design better workshops to support your needs. I'll stop here, and please take some time to fill out the survey. Yeah, we'll stop here. And the last message I want to share with you is the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. So invest some time in your career and professional development on a daily basis. You will see a difference when you are in the job market. I hope to see you in our next events or in a one-on-one coaching appointment. Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate your participation and thank you for filling this survey. We hope to see you again. Take care.